And I'm just getting word that we now have a tornado warning coming in. And Cecily, Tynan, we knew this could happen tonight. Yeah. We were already under a watch.
Yeah, we're kind of already worried about this. With a tornado watch means that conditions are favorable. We now have our first tornado warning of the night. So this is for Chester County. This is until 6:45. So if you live within this red polygon, what you need to do right now, you need to go into your basement. If you don't have a basement, get into the lowest level of your home, get into an interior room, a closet, or a half bath, something that doesn't have windows, something that's not next to an exterior door, and do this right away. So from the National Weather Service now, this tornado, it's radar indicated. So a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Coatesville, or 12 miles west of West Chester. This is moving northeast very quickly at 50 miles per hour. So here you see Coatesville, and what we can see a little bit of that notching in the radar. So what that's an indication, that's what's known as a hook echo. It's an indication that the winds are kind of wrapping around that system, causing that spin. And I showed you earlier in the newscast that there's a lot of helicity. There's a lot of spin in the atmosphere. So that's why the tornado threat is elevated, and that's why we do have this possible tornado again near Coatesville, moving northeast very quickly at 50 miles per hour. So why don't we go ahead, why don't we track this storm? So when you see that polygon, that's when everyone in that area, you need to get into your basement. You need to get in your safe place. So this is the track which shows that if a tornado continues moving in that direction at the same speed, it will be moving into Callan, Downingtown, Euclid, East Whiteland, Phoenixville, and Upper Providence. So if you live in those areas, or if you know someone who does, give them a call, tell them to get indoors right away. If you're in the polygon, but you don't see your town on that list, still seek shelter, because tornadoes typically don't follow the same path. They don't follow the same speed. They kind of weave, they move up, they touch down again, and they're very difficult to track and to figure out exactly where they're going. So that's why that polygon is a little bit broader than the actual track. So this shows relative velocity. So what this does, the green, that's the winds that are heading towards our radar site. The red is away. So when you see the red and the green right next to each other, that's called a couplet. That's gate-to-gate shear, and that's an indication that we do have those rushing winds that's creating that spinning right near Coatesville, and that's a pretty good signature, a pretty strong signature that there could in fact be a tornado in this area. So this is why you do need to seek shelter immediately. We have had reports, a lot of these storms, even without the tornado warnings, the severe thunderstorm warnings, having winds gusts up to 75 miles per hour. So that's hurricane force winds. So even if you just get the straight line winds, it can cause just as much damage as a tornado. So again, you can see as we track this, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour, which is pretty fast. Callan, Downingtown, Euclid, all in the path of the storm system. If it holds together, it would be heading into East Whiteland, Charlestown, and also Phoenixville. That tornado warning is in effect until 6:45. So this is kind of a long duration tornado warning. We have seen a lot of reports of other tornadoes. This is in the actual line that we've been tracking. So sometimes with tornadoes, you see them in the discrete cells, the individual cells ahead of the main line. But with this line, we're seeing a little bit of notching, and that's an indication that there's some of that rotation within this. So this shows that tornado warning again for a large portion of Chester County. If you live in that area, seek shelter right away. Get in your basement, get your pets to go, get your kids to go, get away from the windows. I don't want anyone trying to get video of, we don't need that. You need to be safe. And also you can see around that we've got those orange boxes. So those are the severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect for a large part of our viewing area, Delaware County, the rest of Chester County, Berks County, Lancaster County, Newcastle County, also Salem County. So even the areas not under the tornado warnings, take it seriously, because they could contain those winds gusting up to about 75 miles per hour. So this shows the whole line. So we've been talking about this actually since last week, about the potential for severe weather. What's going on? It's a cold front. It's cold, dry air. It's encountering the warm, humid air we've had today. There's a lot of buoyancy in the atmosphere, and with the high dew points, it's almost like putting gas in a fire. It can really spark the storm. So this is the strongest part. So a couple things here. First of all, you can see that bowing. So that's an indication that we got the rushing winds. So that's why we have all those severe thunderstorm warnings for those winds gusting 70 to 75 miles per hour. That line itself is moving northeast at about 55 miles per hour. So it does look like it's heading towards Christiana, Wilmington, East Goshen, Chester, Upper Darby, and Maryland. Now, within that line near Coatesville, that's where the radar is indicating that we do have a little bit of a spin. So a possibility of that tornado. So that's why we have that tornado warning for central Chester County until 6:45, because it looks like, according to the radar, it's not an eyewitness, but there could be some spin in the atmosphere, and that could produce a tornado. Also the possibility of some hail. So again, if you live in this area, you want to seek shelter right away. Basement, always the best place. If you don't have a basement, just get in the lowest level of your home. You want to get into a closet or a bathroom, something that doesn't have windows and something that's away from the exterior doors and the walls, because the hardest or the most intense part of tornadoes, it's the debris that can be flying with the wind, and that's what can cause the most damage, and that's what can cause the most injuries and fatalities. So zooming in on this, you can see that's not 7 lightning strikes. It's got to be a whole lot more than that over the past 15 minutes, because this is a pretty intense storm. It's all in one line, but the strongest part of the storm right now is moving through Chester County. And why don't we go ahead and zoom into where we think the tornado is? So it was at 6:08. It was located near Coatesville, 12 miles west of Westchester, moving northeast at about 50 miles per hour. So we can also probably do relative velocity as well to get a good idea if we still see that gate-to-gate shear. So this shows near Coatesville. You can see that bright green, you can see the red, and that's an indication that we have the winds heading towards our radar site and the winds heading away very close to each other. So that's a possibility that we could in fact have that tornado as it's moving northeast at about 50 miles per hour. So again, if you live in central Chester County, you want to seek shelter immediately. If you don't live in Chester County, just bear with us, because we do want to stay on this until the threat is over. So we will stay on the tornado warning until it's either expired or it's obvious that it's not a tornado anymore, and then it will be canceled. But right now that is in effect until 6:45, and it does look like we are seeing some pretty intense, what's called a couplet, that gate-to-gate shear, where you get the intense winds going in one direction and you have the winds going in the other. That creates that spin, and unfortunately that's what we were worried about. We were talking about the threat of severe weather since last week. Tornado watch went into effect this afternoon for almost all of our viewing area, and now we do have our first tornado warning. So tracking this as it continues moving northeast at 50 miles per hour, East Brandywine, Euclid, West Vincent, Merlin, East Pikeland, and East Coventry, all in the path of this potential tornado. And let me see. All right, we do have an update. So as of 6:17 right now, that tornado or severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over Downingtown, very close to Westchester as well, moving northeast at 15 miles per hour. So this is a very populated area. If you live in Downingtown, if you live anywhere within this polygon, you do need to seek shelter immediately. I talked about during the 5 o'clock newscast just how important it is to know where you live. Know where you live, what county you live in, know where you live within that county. So when you see something like this, you say, oh, this is for me. I need to seek shelter right away. I need to make sure my family is safe. Tornado warning is in effect until 6:45. Also the potential for some hail, but the damaging winds, the main threat with this system. And there have been several tornado warnings across the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast with this whole cold front that's moving across our area. It's encountering the high dew points, the heat, and we got the sunshine today. And that's something you don't want to see when you have severe weather, because that sunshine can really help fuel the storm. So Storm Tracker 6 live double scan showing Philadelphia, nothing's going on right now, but you can see this vicious line of thunderstorms. Lancaster, the worst of it is over right now. It's pushing into Chester County, and you can see all the lightning strikes associated with this. A lot of times when we get a cold front, it continues to push east. We see it start to weaken. No indication of that at all. Just this area alone, we've had close to 500 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes. So that's an indication that this line is holding together very well. No signs of weakening right now. And in addition to the possible tornado in Chester County, we also have the potential for winds up to 70 miles per hour with any of the severe thunderstorms stretching from southern Berks County all the way through Newcastle County. Also, Salem County is in the severe thunderstorm warning. So Wilmington right now, you can see you're getting hit. You're hearing the thunder. You're seeing the lightning. The rain is really heavy. This line itself moving northeast at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. Wilmington, Upper Chichester, Chester, Upper Darby, and now Philadelphia by 6:43 in the path of this line of thunderstorms. Camden also 6:45 if it stays together. And again, that tornado warning is in effect for Chester County. Tornado possible over Downingtown right now, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. So it's maintaining its direction, it's maintaining its speed, it's radar indicated. So we don't have any eyewitness accounts. But that being said, we take it seriously, and even the severe thunderstorm warnings, since they come with the potential for winds up to about 70 miles per hour, you do want to seek shelter immediately and don't wait for the storm to be right over you. Lightning can strike up to about 10 to 15 miles ahead of an actual storm. So when you hear that thunder, it means the storm is close enough to you that you could get struck by lightning. So this is also a change. Tornado watch was posted for our entire viewing area except for Ocean County until 11 o'clock. The National Weather Service has now updated that. They have extended it to show Ocean County. Actually, we have about 11 states under tornado watches. So this line, this cold front, stretches all the way from New York State down to the deep south. So this is a pretty widespread severe weather outbreak, and so we unfortunately are part of this as well. So let's go back to the actual storm that we're looking at. So you can see a couple things. Again, you can see that bowing of the line. That's an indication of the rushing winds behind us. Those winds could be gusting up to about 70 miles per hour. And also we get a little bit of a notch in, looks like it's right around here, Paul, where you can see the leading edge where there's a little bit of what's known as a hook echo. So where the bow stretches in one direction, the hook is the other direction. So the low pressures, they rotate counterclockwise. So that's an indication that that could in fact be that cell capable of producing a tornado. Sorry, is somebody talking to me? Okay, all right, thanks. So Exton, Charleston, Phoenixville, Upper Providence, Lower Providence, and Norristown, all in the path of that storm. But again, let's go back to the polygon. Let's go back to the severe or the tornado warning, because even if your town is not in that list, if you live in central Chester County, if you live in this area, so it's almost like the cone of uncertainty with hurricanes where it expands out. The reason why is because tornadoes don't typically follow the same exact path. They will weave, they'll make left turns, they'll make right turns. So if you live anywhere within this red polygon, this is what you need to do. You need to get in your basement right away. If you don't have a basement, again, you want to get into an interior closet. A bathroom's not a bad idea. Something that doesn't have windows, something that is not next to an exterior wall, because typically with tornadoes or even with straight line winds, it's the flying debris, it's the trees that can cause the most damage, it can cause the most injuries and the most fatalities. So you do want to stay away from the second floor, because that is what has the most wind damage. The winds are more intense the higher you go up in the air. You want to get into basement or get into the lowest level of your home. Again, interior, put as many layers between you and the outdoors. And I know that a lot of times people are going ahead and getting video, but don't do that, please. I mean, take your cell phone with you so that you can hear the warnings, you can hear when it's expired. don't worry about getting video. You don't want to be looking outdoors if you have a potential tornado that's moving through, because what you want to do, you want to seek shelter. All right, so here we go. We have an update with the severe thunderstorm warning. So that tornado warning again until 6:45 for a large portion of Chester County. The severe thunderstorm warnings, I mean, they're all along this line of thunderstorms. Berks County, Chester County, Montgomery County, Bucks County, Mercer County, Philadelphia, Delaware, Newcastle County, Camden, Gloucester, Salem County, parts of Burlington County. So they're warning this whole area in addition, right ahead of that line of storms as it continues moving east pretty quickly at about 50 miles. And within that particular line is where we get a little bit of that notching in Chester County that has caused that tornado warning again until 6:45. So about the next 20 minutes, that's when it'll expire unless it's lifted ahead of time. The National Weather Service is looking at the radar. If they see that it doesn't look like the possible tornado is holding together, they will cancel it, but haven't yet. So East Goshen, Tredyffrin, Chester, Upper Darby, Philadelphia, and Abington, not in the path of the actual tornado, but in the path of this line of thunderstorms that continues raking across our area, with the possibility of those winds gusting up to about 70 miles per hour, with the potential for some embedded spin with that possible tornado. And we also do have a report right now from Hockessin, Newcastle County, that a structure collapsed. No report on if this is a business or a home, but due to thunderstorm wind damage at 6:10 tonight, a structure collapsed. So hopefully there are no injuries or fatalities, but that is an indication that you do, even if you're not in the tornado warning, if you're in the severe thunderstorm warning, I would almost treat it like a tornado warning, because we've had reports, Newcastle County, not in the tornado warning, but in the severe thunderstorm warning of a structure collapsing. So I really do want everyone to take this very seriously. This shows the relative velocity. Again, the green is towards our radar site, the red is away, and this shows right near West Goshen, between West Goshen and Euclid, we do have that couplet, that gate-to-gate shear, where we have the red and we have the green very close together, and that's an indication that we could be getting that spin with that possible tornado. Again, not something that anyone saw, but radar indicated, which typically is how we detect most possible tornadoes, because once you get all the rain, it's really hard to see. It's not like we're in Texas where you can see a funnel cloud from miles and miles away. West Goshen right now, you can see getting hit very hard. You're hearing the thunder, the heavy rain. Euclid right now, it's heading towards Phoenixville with the potential for damaging wind gusts and structural damage as well. So Charlestown, Phoenixville, Upper Providence, Lower Providence, East Norriton, and Tawaminson, all in the path of this storm if it holds together. The tornado warning is in effect for, oh, no, it's not. It's just been canceled. Tornado warning has been canceled for Chester County. We still have several severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. Adam and I are here all night, and we will continue to keep you updated. If you're in the severe thunderstorm warnings, please take it seriously. Again, we do have a report of a structure that collapsed in Hockessin, Delaware. So these storms are fierce. If we do have any more tornado warnings, we will cut into programming. Keep you posted. If you know anybody in Chester County who's in their basement, give them a call and say they can come back out. Back to you, Brian.
Timing worked out quite well as ABC World News Tonight with David Muir starts right now. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Populated areas of northern Delaware County, eastern Chester County, Montgomery County, western Philadelphia County. So if you are in that zone, this tornado warning in effect here until 7 o'clock. You want to get to the lowest part of your home, interior room, away from windows as this line of storms is passing through. It is bringing a wall of water with it. More than likely, if this tornado is on the ground, it is rain wrapped, so you're not going to see it coming. The wind with this particular bowing of the storm is extremely powerful. So again, if you're just joining us, there's a tornado warning until 7 o'clock for parts of Montgomery County, Chester County, Delaware County, and Philadelphia County. You want to get to the lowest home of the lowest part of your home, interior room, away from windows. If we could take a look at where this is, here it is 7 o'clock in the red zone. So this does include the blue route. This includes the Schuylkill Expressway near the Conshohocken Curve, most of lower parts of Montgomery County. It looks like all the way up to 202 into Montgomery Township, Norristown there, as well as Abington, 309 within this Route 23, Route 3 as you go into Delaware County, Route 1 as well. So this is a very populated area. Let's take a look at the radar and see exactly what is going on with the structure of this particular storm as it is raking through here. We have that original tornado warning in Chester County, Euclid Township, heading up towards Pottstown, but that has expired. This is a new warning within the line here. And again, as I noted, this is a wall of water and a wall of wind as it is pushing in. It is very hard to see this coming because you don't see an exact notch within that particular line of storms. And this is one of those situations where the thunder and the lightning is constant. I mean, it is just flashing and thundering. It's extremely loud. Now we have this bow here that's pushing in. Not only are you getting a rush of more than likely straight line damaging winds, but also you're dealing with the possibility of some rotation or a radar indicated tornado within the band of extremely strong straight line winds. So Radnor, 643, Norristown, 648, Upper Dublin Township, 5 minutes before the 7 o'clock hour. And then if it holds together, this tornado warning till 7 o'clock, it would be in parts of Bucks County at that point near Horsham, also Warminster at 7:03. This is not confirmed. I'm just getting this at 3:05, but a spotter 2 miles southwest of Chester Springs, a 64-mile-an-hour sustained wind for 45 seconds. So within this line, over 60-mile-an-hour straight line winds. Here's what we're trying to look at. You can kind of see this ball of green there on the relative velocity. This is looking at the structure of the wind core of the storm. And we have that green, that is wind moving towards the radar. The brighter the color, the stronger the wind. This is where we had an indication of a possible radar indicated tornado that was issued at 6:35 right over Newtown Square, or 10 miles east of Westchester, moving northeast at 50 miles an hour. So not only are you dealing with the wind pushing with the storms, just the momentum of the storm itself adds even more wind into the atmosphere. So this tornado warning within that band of straight line winds that is bowing out here in parts of Delaware, Chester, Philadelphia, Montgomery County. Right now, it is right through the heart of Delaware County down towards Lima. This is where the worst of the storm is and where we have that possible radar indicated tornado. But this line goes all the way into the northern parts of Chester County, now on the border of Montgomery County. Kind of look at it right along 422. That is where the structure of the edge of this severe storm is raking in. So expected in Center City at 6:47. So that is 6 minutes from now. And as noted, part of Philadelphia County is in that tornado warning, closer towards Conshohocken, Ballackinwood, which is Montgomery County, right along City Ave. That is where we have the possibility of some very strong destructive winds here. The relative velocity again showing where we have the brighter colors of green, which is that wind moving towards the radar. So more than likely, these are winds in excess of 60 miles an hour that are pushing into lower parts of Delaware County. It's away from Newcastle County, but also northern Salem County. You're dealing with that rush of wind. And note that this purple area, that is really light winds ahead of that line that is moving in. No update at this point from the National Weather Service. What I'm looking at here is any sort of updates we get from the National Weather Service that tells us about warnings, that tells us about storm reports. Thankfully, we have that technology that we can get it to you the minute that they push it out to the public. But to the north here, this is wind moving away from the radar where you have the red. So we're not seeing a well-defined notch where you want, if you have a tornado on the ground, it would be red and green side by side. It's called gate-to-gate shear. Not seeing so much of that. But with that being said, we have very dangerous lightning ongoing right now. Lightning that, again, can do a lot of harm. So you want to be indoors. You want to be in your safe space. If you are in the northern part of Delaware County here, this is kind of right around Devon, Paoli, over into Wayne, just on the edge of Ballackinwood, Conshohocken, Abington. As you work into the central parts and lower parts of Montgomery County, Norristown, you're within this tornado warning. You want to be in the lowest level of your home, away from windows. and also taking shelter with as much space and having objects between you and also the walls of your home. This area is under the gun until 7 o'clock with that tornado warning. Very populated areas. We're past the evening rush, but we're talking about major thoroughfares, the Pennsylvania Turnpike. We're talking about Route 202, the Schuylkill Expressway, down into Route 3, parts of Route 1 under this particular tornado warning. And sometimes, they do put some mile markers on here. So for highways, what we're talking about for areas, the Pennsylvania Turnpike between mile marker 326 and 346, 76, the Schuylkill Expressway between 327 and 336. That gets towards areas where the Blue Route connects, and also Conshohocken and Plymouth Meeting up in that area. 476 between mile markers 9 and 19. So 9 would be the Broomall exit of the Blue Route, and then you go up to 19, which is Plymouth Meeting, that particular exit. So that's what we're watching. Shear Tracker. This is another particular element that we have on Storm Tracker that shows where there could be some rotation, and there you can see where it did pop up near Newtown Square over Route 3 east of West Goshen Township, just to the south of Easttown Township, heading up into northern parts of Delaware County. That is where the greatest rotation is with this. So we just got an update from the has been canceled at 6:43. The tornado thunderstorm which prompted the warning has moved out of the warned area. Therefore, the warning has been canceled, but a severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect. The tornado warning remains in effect till 7 o'clock for southeastern Montgomery County, also areas of northern Philadelphia County and northern Delaware County. So Chester County has been taken out of the tornado warning, but it is still in effect for Montgomery County, the lower part of it, Route 202, 73, 63 near Lansdale, Norristown, Montgomery Township on the border there of Abington. Also just to the north of Lower Marion, Route 23, and also the Northeast Extension within this particular tornado warning. As of 6:43, which was just a couple of minutes ago, the possible tornado that's radar indicated was located over Conshohocken. So it was over Conshohocken, which is right here. That was at 6:43, moving to the northeast at 50 miles an hour. So it's moving very, very quickly, or about 10 miles west of Center City, Philadelphia. So until 7 o'clock, this tornado warning continues. You want to seek shelter if I mentioned those areas. And here's some towns in no particular order where you want to be: in the basement, closet, or interior hallway. Avoid windows. Lansdale, Norristown, West Norton, East Norton, Conshohocken, where this possible rotation was over just a couple of minutes ago, Hatboro, Ambler, Abington, Willow Grove, Radnor Township, Plymouth Meeting, King of Prussia, Chestnut Hill, Bryn Mawr, Horsham, Bridgeport, North Wales, and West Conshohocken. Those particular areas is where you want to seek shelter. Now, the particular rotation that they're possibly finding within this wall of wind and wall of water would be a rain-wrapped tornado. It's not one of those that you could see coming. You would have all this wind, all this rain, the tremendous lightning and thunder, and there could be a tornado within that area of strong wind and strong rain. So not only are we dealing with straight line destructive winds, the way the structure of this bow is right now that is moving to the northeast at 50 miles an hour, but we're also possibly seeing an embedded tornado within that band. Here are the towns and times: Norristown 6:52, Horsham 7:04, White Plain at 6:57, Upper Dublin Township around 7 o'clock, Warminster 7:07, and Buckingham Township. That would be about 7:15, but again, this warning goes until 7 o'clock. Also, severe thunderstorm warnings now being issued as far north as the Poconos. So right now, Center City, I don't know if we have any cameras available in Center City right now, but it looks like the strongest of the winds now moving towards the city. It's away from the airport. It'd be our Society Hill camera. I mean, if we could look to the west or southwest, that would be great. Not so much towards the Benjamin Franklin Bridge or to the east or northeast. It would have to face more west. Our Society Hill camera would be showing this storm approaching from the west. So if that is a possibility, they could pop it up at any time. But this rush of wind now coming in from the west there, West Goshen also through the worst of it, but you're still dealing with some heavy rain, strong winds, frequent cloud to ground, vivid, dangerous lightning with the storms. It's extremely loud with respect to the intensity of the rain, with the rumbling of thunder that's ongoing for quite some time, and the possibility of that rotation within that band coming in. So here is Sky 6 Live. It's basically a washout at this point. If this is our Society Hill camera. That's the airport. All right, yeah. So the airport, it's over the airport. I mean, you have no visibility whatsoever. But Paul, when you look at the Society Hill camera up behind the screen here, can you still see? All right, so Paul's going to pop that up for me. So here, all right, there is our Society Hill camera, and you can kind of basically see, I don't know if it's shaded properly, but there is Center City, and you can just see the dark sky. This is an hour or so before sunset, so there is that ominous wall of wind and water, as well as frequent cloud-to-ground lightning from our this is the Brandywine camera. Okay, so this is our Brandywine, and you're seeing the flashes on the Brandywine as the storm is now approaching Center City. You can see some of the drops coming on down. So again, as I was just talking about, till 7 o'clock, tornado warning continues. As you see below here for parts of Delaware, Montgomery, Philadelphia counties. Another camera here showing. All right, so that's the edge. That is our Keystone camera, Independence Hall and Mall. In the background, you can see to the west, that is looking towards New Jersey, where you still have some of those bright skies. But you can see the wall of wind and water very fastly approaching from the west to the east, kind of gobbling up the Walt Whitman Bridge at this point that you can't see in the distance. But I mean, this is moving in so fast. I mean, the drops are starting on the camera here. So you're watching this live as it is now engulfing Center City with the worst of this particular storm, with not only just, Paul, let's see how much lightning is on this, just in this vantage point right here on our radar over Philadelphia in this zone. But that's that particular image, and you saw it live on Sky 6 coming in over the city at this hour. And we have about 213 lightning strikes in 15 minutes. And we're only talking in this zone. This does not include outside that red box. So we are dealing with straight line wind. We're dealing with tremendous amount of rain. We could look at rainfall rates too, Paul, with this as it passes on through, but that possible tornado. All right, so it expired. All right, so 6:50, the tornado warning for Delaware, Montgomery, and Philadelphia has expired. So good news here. The National Weather Service has expired early, about 9 minutes early, that tornado warning for the area of Delaware, Philadelphia. And, oh, it is still for Montgomery. All right, let me just pop this up. I think it was expired. Yeah, no. Expired. If one of Delaware, Montgomery, Western Philadelphia, Northern Delaware will expire. All right, will expire at 7 o'clock. So this is conflicting reports from the National Weather Service here. But more than likely, the threat of the tornado within that line has diminished here as it's pushing over Center City at this hour, still dealing with very severe weather over eastern parts of Delaware County, moving northeast at 50 miles an hour. Some of the updated towns and times, because this is starting to push over New Jersey. We're dealing with the southern flank of the most severe part of this line into Gloucester County. So Cherry Hill 6:55, Voorhees at 7 o'clock. Again, these particular towns and times are not under a tornado warning, but you're still going to deal with some very rough weather as it passes in. Bensalem 7:03, Bristol coming in there at 7:09, Levittown and Lower Bucks County at 7:12, Trenton coming in at 7:18, and also we're dealing with the severe thunderstorm warning that continues until 7:30, and that is for Newcastle, Kent, Burlington, Camden, Gloucester, Hunterdon, Mercer, Salem, as well as Berks, Bucks, Chester, Delaware, basically everywhere, Montgomery and Philadelphia County till 7:30. Severe thunderstorm warning with considerable threat of winds possibly up to 70 miles an hour that have been observed with this line that is moving in. So where we're seeing this bright green, that is that rush of wind that has pushed through Center City, Philadelphia, and now entering Gloucester County, right on the edge of Camden County, eventually Burlington County. We're dealing with some straight line wind. And straight line, let me just tell you, straight line wind damage is just as destructive as small tornado damage. So the difference between straight line wind and a tornado is just the way things move or are pushed or taken out of the ground. So tornado things are kind of all over the place. Think about a kid throwing Lego blocks everywhere. With straight line winds, everything lays down in the same direction, but it can be just as destructive. The winds can be just as strong with straight line wind damage compared to a small, weak tornado. So we continue to watch this as it pushes from the west to the east, moving into parts of South Jersey. Don't want to forget you in the Lehigh Valley. You have some nasty storms also coming in with lightning growing in those locations as well. So not only are we dealing with storms down to the south, we do not want to ignore the folks up there in Berks County and also the Lehigh Valley, where we're seeing strengthening storms here to the west as well. And any of these that are forming ahead of that line could be discrete cells, meaning they're kind of drifting on their own. They steal more energy from the atmosphere and have more capability of producing a spin in those storms. Once the storms get more in that line structure, then they're all sharing that same energy, and you typically don't get some of those spin-ups within the line, but that's what we were possibly seeing down towards Philadelphia. So we continue to track these storms as they're working in from the west to the east. We have a tornado watch box up until 11 o'clock tonight, meaning the possibility and the capability of those tornadoes forming is a real threat here through the 11 o'clock hour, because not only dealing with this one line that is coming through, but also we still have more to the west that could be firing up. So it's 6:54 at this hour. That, Paul, if we bring up the tornado, the warning graphic, I'm just curious to see if they still have parts of that area still etched out in that tornado warning, and they do here for northeastern parts of Delaware County, just the clip of Philadelphia County, but this is mainly for Montgomery County up until 7 o'clock here. We'll zoom in maybe a little bit closer into that particular zone that is still under that tornado warning in effect until 7 o'clock, which is still another 5 minutes. So the threat is still ongoing. Not only are we dealing with the possibility of a tornado, but we're also seeing very dangerous lightning with this particular system. We're seeing tremendous amounts of rain that is blinding for those that may be trying to travel around right now. Still want to be in your safe zone. If you're in Norristown, near Lansdale, Montgomery Township, that is also still a real threat at this hour. And we're dealing with estimated rainfall rates, there we go, of some of those bright colors as this is passing through. Paul will be putting on some of the rainfall estimated rates here. So we're looking at about an inch to inch and a half rates per hour. So it is a very fast wall of water that is moving through. I did get now just some updates here. We do have a local storm report. Spring Township in Berks County. Emergency manager says a tree is down on the house at 6:53. Also in Mickleton, Gloucester County, emergency manager saying that he reported a tree down in Mickleton, New Jersey. So we are getting reports of trees down because of that rush of wind, and we're dealing with the worst of the line of storms right over Philadelphia. But there you see what we call a bow echo. So a bow, think about a bow and arrow. If you were to take that arrow, stretch it out, and you let that bow just send out with that wind. That is what we're dealing with right now. So again, if I have that bow and arrow and I shoot it out, this right here is the strongest part of the wind that is being pushed away from the storm. So it's always a dangerous situation when you get a structure like this. Again, this type of structure that produces this kind of wind, just as dangerous as a small tornado. Tornado gets, you know, that infamous name because I was in a tornado. Not many folks say I was in a straight line windstorm. They are one in the same when it comes to the destruction and possible damage. So that is something we want to keep in mind. Now, as we time this for you, this is moving to the northeast at 50 miles an hour. Voorhees, 6:59, so in 2 minutes. Again, this is not so much for a tornado, but this is more for straight line wind damage and very dangerous lightning. Brent-Salem, 7:03, Bristol, 7:08, Falls, I'm assuming it's Township at 7:12, Trenton, 7:17, and Lawrence, which is in Mercer County, at 7:23. So this particular storm over the heart of Philadelphia. Again, we have a couple of minutes that the warning is still in effect. If there's any good cameras that the producer or the director see, even if it's blinding and you just see lightning over the city, it is a vantage point to see just how bad of visibility we're dealing with over Center City at this hour. We have 157 lightning strikes in 15 minutes, with most of that over Eastern Delaware, Center City, Philadelphia County, and right over the river into New Jersey. So there you can see the drops in the lens, but also the flashes. And that's what I was talking about. It is literally as if it is a constant rumble out there and constant flashes of lightning. This is a very ripe atmosphere that this particular storm and this line of storms has moved into. We're talking about the possibility of considerable wind damage with the straight line wind structure of this storm. And anytime you hear thunder, you want to be indoors in your safe space, as it is engulfing Center City at this hour with, again, that flicker and flash that just does not seem to want to stop. There's a lot going on. Here is Philadelphia from our live casino camera of Citizens Bank Park. The game has been postponed. My husband and son were on their way to the game and had to turn around like many other folks. Tarp is on the field. Game is now at 4:05 tomorrow afternoon to make up for this evening. And this is why they canceled the game. It was supposed to start 19 minutes or so ago, and the amount of danger is very real with the storm as it's pushing through. And not only are we dealing with it right now, but there's more storms that are possible as we go a little bit deeper into the evening. So a very good call for those who are who postponed this game. And we're also supposed to have a Union game here this evening as part of, is it the League Cup? Is it still, right? The League's Cup? Yes, the League's Cup. Supposed to be just after 8 o'clock. So we'll see what we're dealing with the brightest of the colors now east of Philadelphia, Morrisville, New Jersey, Cherry Hill, West Collingswood, up through the Germantown section of Philadelphia. That is the heaviest of the rain, but even as the rain lightens up, you're still dealing with a lot of lightning on the western edge of this storm. They are continuing this tornado warning. Well, it's supposed to expire at 7. It is now at the top of the hour of 7 o'clock. I do not have an update from the National Weather Service in the chat room right now, but if we go to the polygon map here where we have that tornado warning, it is expired officially. There's no more red here. So but we still have very serious weather, severe thunderstorm warning. Bucks County, Mercer County, I'm going to let you go to programming here in a second, but Burlington County, Camden, Gloucester, Salem, Delaware County, Philadelphia, Montgomery, Berks, Lehigh, northern Chester County up to the Poconos. Severe thunderstorm warning until at least 7:30, 7:45, where winds with these storms could be anywhere between 60 and 70 miles an hour. And I just saw there's a tornado warning north of the Poconos with that northern line of storms. Any more tornado warnings are issued, Cecily and I are here. We'll break into programming. Until then, please be safe, and we'll see you a little bit later on.